Anthony Nguyen here, host of Behind the Grind. Today's guest is Coach David Grace. We cover real estate, Lavar Ball, Bryce James, all in that order on Behind the Grind. Welcome to the first episode of Behind the Grind with Anthony T. Nguyen, presented by Iconic Sports Entertainment. My special guest today is Coach David Grace, head coach of Campbell Hall here in Studio City. Coach Grace is making a homecoming. He is formerly the top recruiter of UCLA basketball. He's here with us today. Coach Grace, welcome.
Thank you.
We want to talk about, this is more of a journey, guys, not necessarily a podcast. We want to inspire, not only just accelerate, we want to actually just inspire the masses out there. So Coach Grace, a lot of people don't know that you were actually in the armed services.
Yes.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Walk us through your journey, your years of service, and what inspired you to become a coach?
Wow, 20 years in the Air Force. So I came in right out of high school. I had a chance to walk on at Northwestern State in Louisiana and chose the military. Greatest thing ever happened to me. My mom was, she really encouraged me to do that. And so, 20 great years, spent time in many places in Sicily and Turkey, and I did a tour in Desert Storm during the war, which that wasn't very fun, but other than that, it was a great 20 years, and got to meet some great people. I learned a lot about leadership, learned about followership, learned about serving my country, and had some great mentors along the way that has helped mold me.
Well, you talk about leadership, and leadership is huge in coaching.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to battle every single day on the court. I mean, in between these lines, a lot different from what people see,
Right.
More psychological. When you're recruiting a player to come to your program, what's one thing you look for in that player?
Well, in high school, we really don't recruit, but there's players that want to come, and they do come. So, but at the college level, there's so many things that go about recruiting. I want good kids, I want great families, and I want kids that are going to be able to excel and meet the requirements of playing at such as places at UCLA, where I spent 5 years. Yeah. And we want kids that are gym rats, that are hungry, that can do the schoolwork, and are capable of playing at a high level to help us win basketball games, and also that are very coachable. And we can go down the list of how many attributes that you need to be a UCLA Bruin. And over the years, UCLA has not only produced great NBA players, but also great people in the community. And that's what we were doing back when I was there.
That's awesome. And you talked about UCLA, and that's an interesting story. You're a prolific recruiter, ranked #1 in the West Coast.
Yes.
As a college recruiter. And people don't understand that the Ball brothers,
yes.
You recruited all the Ball brothers.
Yes.
Lonzo, LaMelo,
right.
And LiAngelo.
Right.
Walk us through the journey of actually having that first contact with Lonzo.
Well, it was at Chino Hills High School out in the Inland Empire. I called, I was at Oregon State at the time. I called a great friend of mine, and Atop Unaema ran Compton Magic. I said, Atop, let's go look at some young guys, and then we'll go look at the older guys. And I was recruiting for Oregon State my head coach was Craig Robinson, that's Michelle Obama's brother. So he said, let's go to Chino Hills. There's this kid named Lonzo Ball that's everybody's starting to talk about. And this was right before he played his first high school game.
Wow.
And we go in the gym. There's scrimmage, and he goes up and down the court a couple of times, and I said, I've seen enough. He's good enough to go to Oregon State. In fact, he's probably too good to go to Oregon State. And I walked over to the coach and said, hey, I'm going to be leaving. I've seen enough. Lonzo has an offer to go to Oregon State. Wow. And can you have his dad call? Now, I didn't know that was going to be Lavar Ball, So later that night, Lavar called, and so we started building a relationship, and because I wasn't allowed to call him, the dude that Lonzo was only a freshman in high school.
Right. And
we built a tremendous relationship. Lavar is an amazing person. He's built an empire and has known how to do it. His kids all played on his AAU team, which they never asked for money, ever. They did it with what we call a mom and pop AAU program, and he got everything out of what he needed. So, and Lavar and I and Lonzo, I just talked to Demo, who's Lonzo's manager, and we're supposed to get together for lunch here pretty soon.
Wow.
And Jello, I coached Jello when we went to help him until we went to China, and then he left UCLA. And Melo we had coming to UCLA, and I'm staying in touch with all of them to this day. Outstanding people, outstanding family, and it was a joy to get to know. And you know, I know him at a little different light.
Right.
We talk differently amongst each other, and just was blessed to be able to recruit them. And obviously, they came to UCLA.
You know, great to be a Bruin.
Yeah.
And to say that, I'm pretty sure when you were the number one recruiter, everyone's knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, you know, they were, but they also knocking on Kansas's door and North Carolina's door and all the Blue Bloods' door back then. So it was, a lot of people say, it's easy to recruit to UCLA. Obviously, we get in the door, but we're going up against other Blue Bloods as well, where they get stuff done as well. So it's not as easy what people think, you know, and in fact, I think it's much harder because we have to beat kids out on North Carolina, Duke, and they have great histories as well as far as Kansas and you know, the other schools that you know are at the same level. So, but UCLA to me is one of the greatest places ever to work at, and my 5 years there was amazing.
Yeah, you're walking through the pyramid, you're walking through John Wooden's footsteps.
Yes.
Walk us through your ideal college recruit when you're recruiting back then. What makes you pick up that phone? What makes you go to that game? What makes you say, that player, I want in my program?
First, he has to be good enough, basketball-wise, or projected to be good enough. You know, the first kid I recruited at UCLA was Kevon Looney, and who's having a tremendous career with the Golden State Warriors. And he fit the bill perfectly. Was a great student, had a great family, had a great work ethic. He wanted to be better. He wanted to make his teammates better. He was unselfish, and all the attributes that we asked for. He rebounded the basketball, was a great teammate, was easily coached, and all those attributes wanted me to recruit him. So I got my big heavy coat from the football team, because at UCLA we didn't have any coats, and I strapped the coat on and went up to Milwaukee and recruited Kevon. So he was an example, our first recruit at UCLA, and obviously was a great one.
And Kevon, if I remember, he was a one-and-done player, right?
One and done.
And let's walk through the one-and-done players right now. That's what seems to be going on right now with the climate of basketball.
Yes.
We have the NIL deals right now. That's kind of, I wouldn't say polluting the college atmosphere, but what advice would you give a young man that's saying, you know what, I did my time here, I gave to the program, I'm looking to make a living. What advice would you give them to make that decision again? Would you say reconsider, do another 2 years, do another year, or cash out right now?
Well, each player, each student is uniquely different, you know, depending on if they need money for their family, or do they make a great decision where they're going to be a lottery pick in the NBA, or if they want to go to another school where they give way more NIL money, and that also helps the family to be successful. There's so many dynamics now. It's different than when I was coaching college with the NIL and the transfer rule where you can transfer and play right away. So I always want kids to stick it through. They chose the school they were at, so stick it through. But I also understand that they have to make some money to live in those things as well. So if they do have to transfer, I think there was a kid at San Diego State or San Diego that left because he needed the money, and you can't blame him for that. You know what I mean? So. But other than that, you know, I'm very big on loyalty as well. So I think you should be able, if you're going to go to that school, you should go as far as you can with it, you know, and fight through the adversity that comes with being a student athlete at a major university. And if you can do that, you'll be good. You'll be a better person for it.
Great advice, Coach.
Yeah.
I want to take you back to the future. I want to put you in a DeLorean. If you can have the NIL rules right now, and it's back in 2016,
right,
and you're recruiting, do you think that UCLA could have won the national championship back then if you could recruit a little bit differently?
No, we thought we were going to win the national championship with Lonzo Ball's team, which went 31-5. Lonzo gets hurt in the Sweet 16, and we lose to Kentucky after we beat Kentucky at Kentucky that year. And so we had a good enough team back then to win. We had T.J. Leaf. We had more than Bryce Offord and Norman Powell. I mean, who's doing great things in the NBA now. So it was a tremendous team there. We thought we could win it, but the ball just didn't bounce our way. And but now, it's all about money now. UCLA still has to have a lot of money. It's what it is now. I know, like schools like Arkansas, they just pay.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the intent of the NIL, it's come to that. And the teams with the most money through their collectives and other avenues, they just get the revenue. They're probably going to get the best players.
That's crazy. It's kind of like a throwback to, not too familiar for people remember, the 1992 movie Blue Chips with Shaq. And essentially, that's what it is right now. It's running
legal.
wild. It's legal now.
Yeah.
Coach, good point. Walk us through, okay, you left UCLA. What gave you the hunger to come back and coach, especially coming back to Southern California?
Well, I went on to Cal Berkeley, had a great year that year, then over to Vanderbilt. Then we went back, my wife and I went back and took care of my mother-in-law who had dementia till she passed away. And then schools were calling. I actually interviewed for a Division I head coaching job. It didn't work out, but a high school in Phoenix called and were interested in. And so I love to coach, and the main reason why I love to coach, I love to help others, and I want to make an impact on them in their journey to their dreams, and what better way to do it than to be through basketball, which is a sport that I love.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, Coach, before I got in here, the ball doesn't bounce forever.
Yes.
What advice would you give to a kid who just got drafted, let's say top 5 pick?
Yes.
Just got, let's say, $30 million in his account.
Right.
What financial decisions would you recommend as a coach for them to do?
He needs to get with a financial manager, that sound one, do your homework and make sure you get a good one, through your agent. I'm sure every kid that's getting drafted to make that much money has an agent, and they should already be in discussions or have contracts with great money managers, and that are going to be sound with their money, because most people in the NBA only in the league for 3 to 5 years. To get to the pension is very few. Right. So when the ball stops bouncing at the NBA level, there's sure you can make some more money overseas, but to get with a money manager, put your money away, make sound decisions with it, purchase some property, I would assume that they should do. I'm not a wizard at the financial world, but I'm smart enough to know to buy homes. Right. And I know you're in that business as well. I just bought one. We talked about that offline. But you should be able to buy property, because that usually doesn't lose value.
You heard it here first, guys. Buy property straight from Coach Grace. Now, the financial side of things, the love of the game, what gives you the joy to walk back in the gymnasium and see a kid put up 30? And what gives you the joy? Is it the joy of him going to a D1 school? Is it the joy of him providing for his family? What's that joy that keeps you going?
Well, I have the same love for the kid that doesn't go D1. I just like to impact their life through, like, last night, every night after every practice, we spend 30 to 40 minutes talking to them, and talking to them about life and my experiences, and I share that with them. And we talked about making sure when you're on Campbell Hall's campus that you go and say hello to everybody, not just the people of importance in your mind, because everybody at Campbell Hall is very important, from the janitors all the way up to Reverend Bull. So I want them, and the school's not very big, so I want them to go and make sure they say hello and talk to everyone, and the people in the cafeteria, and those type of things. So I get joy of teaching that, the whole person concept, and then seeing them grow. You know, like a couple weeks ago, I was in Vegas in a major AAU basketball tournament, and 3 of my former players have families, they have kids, they're doing well, and they're coaching basketball. So to see that is just as good as seeing Kevon Looney walk across the stage and get drafted by the Warriors, or Lonzo Ball by the Lakers, or T.J. Leaf by the Pacers, and Norman Powell by the Raptors. You know, so those give me great joy as well. But just to be able to do that and to know that I played a small part in helping them reach their dreams.
Wow, that's amazing, Coach.
Yeah.
And you're coming back to Southern California.
Yes.
Not only Southern California, but Campbell Hall.
Yes.
Now, because the record last year was 13 or 14.
Yes.
What do you plan to do to resurrect the program and get them back to the chip?
Well, you know, I think it begins with culture. I don't know about what happened last year. It's really not on my mind. I'm just excited to get the kids that we have this year and create a culture of winning, not just on the court, but off the court. And I have a podcast myself that's called Do More With Your 24. And we want them to build a culture of every day that they go through their day of 24 hours, that they're doing more than others, and they're creating a positive atmosphere to be successful. And that will go to the court, and we'll win games. I've been doing it a long time. We've won many games. I've been in many championships. So, and then to get them in the gym and work, like we're going to practice right after this podcast, and get in there and teach them how to play the basketball game, and the culture come. You know, we have great kids here. We have a great faculty here. My assistant coaches all the time says, hey, every time we go through the gate, it's like being in Disneyland, because everybody's happy, you know, and that's the culture that's already been here at Campbell Hall. Yeah. So I'm not, you know, changing and being you know, whip master or nothing like that. Yeah. I'm just here to help and put the culture in, and the kids create that as well. I give them a lot of responsibility of creating a culture of excellence, you know, and I get that a lot from my experiences in the military. Right. So we're going to win. We're going to win big. I'm excited because the processes that we try to perfect daily will allow us to do that.
Now you have some key players coming back, and you also have a big buzz coming in. Bryce James.
Yes.
And talk about the scrutiny sometimes. There's positive and negatives, but the scrutiny of the media, and instantly try to win with his father, a Hall of Famer, as it is to coach someone like Bryce.
Well, I got to coach Bryce a little bit at the Section 7, and Bryce was outstanding. You know, there's a lot of stuff comes with it, but we have to understand that, because just his father's pretty popular worldwide. So with that comes some security that has to take place, different logistics that have to take place, and nothing new for me. You know, I've done it at UCLA, I've done it in the military, I've done it and saw it with Barack Obama when I was coaching up at Oregon State. So none of it's kind of new to me. We just adapt and we go from there. But Bryce was a joy to coach this through the Section 7, and just an outstanding young man, and is going to do great things in this world. And I'm excited to be a part of that, my little piece, and our coaching staff is as well, and our players. So with Bryce, whatever Bryce likes to do, we support it, and we think nothing but the world of him.
That's awesome, Coach. Now, there's got to be someone that's watching this podcast right now and saying to themselves, Coach Grace just inspired me. What kind of recommendations would you give someone who's thinking about coaching, or trying to get into coaching, or trying to like mold youth? What's one bit that you want to give them?
Well, I first ask them, do they really want to do it? You know, because it's long hours and the pay is not always great. So, and you also get a lot of no's along the way, and there's a lot of adversities along the way. But there's no bigger joy than being able to have an impact on young people, and I think everybody should have an impact. And if you want to get into coaching, you have my nod, and I want to help in any way I can. And advice I'd give is, it's going to be long hours. Just be prepared for that. Success doesn't come overnight. Just keep working hard, keep having faith, and keep doing what you're supposed to do and doing right things.
That's awesome, Coach. I know Coach is pressed on time. He has to run some drills, some scrimmages. How can they find you, Coach, on IG, anywhere on social media?
Yeah, Coach Grace 1 on IG, Coach David Grace on Twitter, and I'm on Snap too. I don't use it though, just for the young kids. You know, you can find me here at Campbell Hall because that's where I'm at. So you can reach out, do anything you like. You know, give me a call or give me a text or whatever, or hit me up on my DMs, and I'll definitely get back with you. I take pride in getting back with everybody.
I have a prediction. I think Campbell Hall is going to take the chip. I might be talking too crazy, but Coach Grace has all the tools and accolades to do so. Guys, that concludes our first episode of Behind the Grind here with Coach David Grace. Looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Thanks for having me. All right, brother.
All right, that was dope.
Thanks, man.